As I'm sure many of you guys know, the new and used car market is at levels never seen before. Cars have appreciated like crazy over the last year, and as we stand today in February of 2022, there are people just like me sitting on the sidelines patiently waiting for the used car market to tank back to normal levels. The unfortunate thing though is that the new car market isn't going to go back to normal, at least pre-2021 normal, for a little bit longer. So in the meantime, there are some important things that you should know, and that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this video. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 of the most important things that you should know given the current state of the new and used car market in February of 2022. Everything that I'm going to be talking about in this video will help you be better suited to navigate the new and used car market, and to be honest, all of this advice will probably be applicable at least until 2023 and 2024. So let's get started. Now, one thing I would like to note before we dive in is the fact that the used car market is beginning to slow down. I have been keeping a laser-focused eye on the used car market for the last 2 years, and I know from my own perspective and from what I know about the car market and what I've seen over the last 365 days, the car market is slowing down. Now, I will be diving into that in a lot more detail in next week's video, so stay tuned for that next Friday. But in the meantime, let's touch on 3 of the things that you need to be aware of. That way you're setting yourself up for success when it comes to buying a car in the current state of the market as of today. Number 1 is to understand that not all cars are created equal. You see, over the last year, we've seen a lot of headlines, a lot of videos, a lot of articles talking about how the used and new car market is at unprecedented levels. And I will admit that I am one of the people making these types of videos. The problem though is that, yeah, the car market is insane. Used car prices are extremely high, but not all cars are created equal. And what I mean by that is that some cars have appreciated at a much different rate than others. To give you an example, pickup trucks and convertibles have only appreciated at a rate of 23% over the last year. I say only, like 23% appreciation for a used car is mind-blowing in itself, but whenever we compare that to other types of cars over the last year, it's actually quite small. To give you a comparison, vans have appreciated by 57% this year, crossover vehicles have appreciated by 35%, and SUVs have appreciated by 32%. So not all types of vehicles have been appreciating at the exact same rate. But this isn't just exclusive to types of vehicles, it also applies to makes and models as well. And certain types of cars, meaning certain types of manufacturers, have also been appreciating at vastly different rates. For example, Volkswagen has appreciated by 45% this year, Porsche has appreciated by 25%, Maserati 18%, and Ford 35%. If you're looking for a metric to keep track of all of these things, one of my favorite tools that if you've seen this YouTube channel before, you probably are aware of it, is called the Car Guru's Car Value Index. And using this tool, you can look at different makes and models, different types of body styles, and different timelines for vehicles to see how they have either appreciated or depreciated over time. This is a really useful tool if you're somebody who's looking for some of the historical prices of different cars. That way you can be more well educated on what type of price you should expect to pay. Number 2, and this is one that I originally wasn't going to include on this list, but over the last couple of days, I decided that I think this is incredibly important to talk about, and that involves salvaged vehicles. Now, me being somebody that owns a growing Turo fleet, I spend a lot of time looking at used cars online, more specifically through Facebook Marketplace. As a result, I probably spend between 1 to 2 hours every single day looking at used cars that I want to buy, and I talk to dozens, if not hundreds, of used car sellers every single week. And you would be surprised at how many used car sellers out there are trying to convince some poor buyer that buying a salvage car in this market is the same as buying a used, clean titled vehicle. Now, for those of you who aren't super familiar with salvaged cars and why buying a salvaged car is not a good idea, let me briefly explain. So a salvaged car basically means that at one point in time, a car was in a major accident. And in the process of evaluating this accident, the insurance company deemed that the cost to repair this car would be more than the actual value of the car itself, or it would be too close to the actual value. But the problem is that people will oftentimes buy these cars back from the insurance company at a fraction of the cost of what they would be worth had they never been in the accident. They fix these cars and then they sell them with a salvage title. Now, traditionally speaking, if you were looking at a car on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or any other retailer out there, you would find a salvage car, and that salvage car would typically be worth about 50% of the exact same car that has a clean title, meaning that car could look identical, it could have similar miles, vehicles. It could have the same features, but the salvaged car would be worth about 50% less than the clean titled vehicle, meaning the car that was never in an accident. But unfortunately, over the last year, as used car prices have skyrocketed, so have the prices of salvaged cars as well. And now if you look online, you can oftentimes find cars with a salvage title that are going for the same price as their clean titled counterpart. And the problem is that if you contact these sellers, they will try to convince you that buying a car that has a salvage title in today's market holds the same value as buying a clean car because of the fact it's so hard to find a good car nowadays. But to be honest, this is completely false and it couldn't be further from the truth. And my fear is that people are going to fall for this scam. I am sure that as used and new car prices have appreciated over the last year, that salvaged cars have also appreciated along with them. But never, ever, ever fall for the ruse that salvaged car vehicles are in some way worth the same amount as clean title vehicles, because that just could not be further from the truth. I worry that people are getting sucked into this scam. They're buying a salvage titled car for the same price as a clean titled car, and then in a year or 2 years down the line, when the car market returns to normal, they are absolutely going to be underwater with this vehicle because of the fact that they just blatantly overpaid for a car that was not worth the money. Now, of course, there are a lot of different reasons as to why you wouldn't want to buy a salvage title car. In my case, I'm looking to buy cars to rent out on Turo, and you cannot rent out salvage title cars on Turo. So that is a really clear-cut reason as to why I avoid them. But in general, with salvaged cars, they're typically harder to insure. They typically do have more problems than a clean titled vehicle, and in my opinion, they're just not worth the hassle. So my advice would be to steer clear of salvage titled cars altogether, but most importantly, never, ever, ever fall for the ruse that salvaged cars are worth the same as clean titled cars in this market, because they simply are not. And once the used car market returns to normal, the salvaged car valuations will also go back into the ground where they belong. And the third and final tip that I have for you is to understand exactly what you're looking for, be patient, and understand that you may have to wait until the end of 2022 to get a really good deal. Now, whenever it comes to buying a used car, I kind of feel like there's two classes of buyers, at least the two classes of buyers that watch my video. There are the people that are wanting to buy cars to expand their fleets, to expand their Turo business, and these are the types of buyers that really want to buy cars regardless of where the current market is as of today in February of 2022. Then we have the second class of buyers that may be watching this video, and those are the people that are wanting to buy a car for personal use. Maybe you need a car for yourself to drive on a day-by-day basis. Well, the reality is that the needs of these two groups of people are going to be vastly different. If you're somebody who's buying a used car for personal use, then my recommendation would be to wait as long as you possibly can. The reality is that there are a lot of factors that are affecting when the used car market will decline. From the chip shortage to the labor shortage, cost of goods, supply and demand, as well as just the buyer sentiment as well, meaning all of these articles that we're reading on a daily basis talking about the crisis of the automotive industry. All of these things are affecting the used car market. And as we go into 2022, these things will start to dissipate more and more and more. And as a result, the used car market will begin to return to normal. There are a lot of predictions that state that the used car market will really start to decline by the second half of this year. So honestly, the longer that you can wait, the better. And I think in the meantime, do your research, make sure that you know exactly what you want to buy, and most importantly, make sure that you know what price is a good price to pay for that car. On the flip side though, if you're a Turo host or a fleet owner like myself, and you're not somebody that wants to wait 6 months to buy your next car, then my recommendation to you would be patient, make sure you find the right deal, but also make sure to know exactly what you're buying. There are still good deals online. Are they as good as they were 2-3 years ago? Of course not. Cars that were priced for $3,000 last year are priced at $5,000 today, which is mind-blowing to think about. But you kind of have to have a mindset shift whenever you're buying cars in February of 2022, or really anytime in 2022, because nothing is as cheap as it once was. But regardless, there are still deals out there, at least in relation to the current car market. You just have to be patient. You need to make sure to do your due diligence so that you know exactly what you're buying, what price you should buy it at, and make sure to throw out as many offers as you possibly can. Like I mentioned a little bit ago in this video, I spend a ton of time looking at used cars, and as a result, I probably send out a dozen to 2 dozen offers on vehicles every single day. The vast majority of these people say no or simply ignore my request request altogether. But there are a small fraction of sellers that actually respond to my absurd offer. They take me up on it, and that allows for me to buy a car at a really great price. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some valuable information regarding the current state of the used car market and how you can navigate it most effectively. I do have a video coming out next week where I will be diving deep into the used car market and how it's changed over the last month, because the reality is it's changed quite a lot and things are looking pretty exciting. So if you're interested in checking out that video, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified right whenever that video drops. Like always, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.